Hey, it's Patricia Murphy. It's Thursday, and this is Seattle Now. The pandemic is changing the way we use and access our city. So many businesses are struggling to survive. On the Ave in the University District, it's a double whammy. There are fewer workers and returning students, and businesses on the Ave are dependent on both. In a minute, stranger writer Charles Mudede will tell us about what we're losing and what we can do to possibly save it. But first, let's get you caught up. Wildfires continue to burn across Washington and Oregon, billowing noxious smoke into the region. Forecasters say we'll see a noticeable improvement over the weekend. Researchers at Berkeley Earth say spending last Friday outside was like smoking 9 cigarettes. U.S. Attorney General William Barr has instructed prosecutors to consider sedition charges against some demonstrators, including some who attended protests in Seattle. The Wall Street Journal reports Barr also inquired about exploring criminal charges against Seattle Mayor Jenny Durkan because of the CHOP. Seattle U.S. Attorney Brian Moran issued a statement late Thursday night saying no one in the Justice Department has ever communicated to him that Durkan should be the subject of an investigation. As a reminder, sedition charges require proof of efforts to overthrow the U.S. government. And Lime scooters are here and ready for you to ride. Maybe wait for the smoke to clear, though. It's $1 to unlock and 36 cents a minute to ride. Bring your own helmet, and for goodness sake, stay off the sidewalk. We're all longing for some much fresher air. Once the smoke clears, maybe a little alfresco dining before the rain comes. Writer Charles Mudede wants us all eating and drinking outside more. He has a plan to rescue University Way Northeast, the iconic Seattle meeting place known as the Ave, where students, university staff, and new arrivals to the city have long gathered, grabbing Lebanese and Indian food at Cedars or a cocktail at Flowers Bar. But UW taking fall classes online has changed that, stripping the Ave of its foot traffic. And the Ave needs to adapt to survive. Charles Mudede writes for The Stranger. Really good to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time.
Thank you for having me on your show, on your podcast.
Yeah. So tell me this story. Tell me what we're losing.
Well, we already lost College Inn Pub, which was an institution in that street. A lot of graduates had completed their papers.
That's right.
The dissertations were done in there. That's where they'd go to complain about their professors, their class, and so forth and so on. If you're looking at others, such as the important variety of international businesses in terms of Mediterranean kitchens, Mexican restaurants. I mean, we don't want to lose that to businesses that can make it through, which will tend to be corporate businesses. So small businesses are at risk, and we would lose the vitality of that street. And one thing that everybody has to remember is that the Ave wasn't initially geared to service the university. It was just its own street, like a main street with businesses for a community. But now it is entirely tied to the fortunes of the university. I mean, mostly tied. So this has put them in a precarious situation.
And how did this happen, that the Ave became entirely reliant on the university for its success? KUOW is located in the former JCPenney building. This was not the original vision for the Ave, what we have today.
Yes, right. There's been changes that have occurred. There used to be Nordstrom there. It's not there anymore, right? A lot again, and we have Target that will probably do okay. But again, all these businesses are dependent on foot traffic by students primarily. So, I mean, there could be changes made so that they can draw people from outside of the university world, but the city hasn't offered them those kinds of opportunities yet.
So here we find ourselves in this situation. It's likely business owners will have to survive this way for quite a while. Is there a future? Is there a solution? Because when businesses close, someone else takes their place.
That's true, and a new direction is taken. the Mediterranean theaters, which is so vital. Theater's been there since the 60s. Those places will not. I mean, we're talking Big Time Brewery's another one that's been there, and they're still around. Bulldog News is still around amazingly, is that right? I can't believe Bulldog News is around, right? They suffered the entire collapse of the print industry. And
can you still buy magazines at Bulldog News?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, I think that you go there to drink coffee, right? They're still there. For them to survive that and still be here is impressive, but I don't think a business like Bulldog News could sustain a year with rents and all these costs that go into running a small business without any inflow, right?
And it's a real loss when we lose businesses like Bulldog News, if we were to lose, because in a lot of ways, it's funny, you even said you don't go there for the coffee, but the Ave is a transitional place. It's where a lot of people sit at the intersection of their life and contemplate their future. And that's such a loss if we were to lose it.
Yeah. There's a thing called the arrival city. Usually there's slums and people into the city through this arrival city. The Ave is also a kind of arrival city for a lot of students. This is where they first encounter Seattle, whose towers are visible from the Ave on a clear day, which is like the classic sort of relationship between an arrival city and the main city where, the main business takes place and so forth and so on. But this arrival aspect means that those who into the city gather the same kinds of experiences or similar experiences as others who have moved on into the city. It was not a surprise for me to have several letters coming in after I wrote this piece by people from the 60s on down to the last decade who had a shared experience on that street because those institutions are still there, and so they're relatable. And those institutions also provide information for those who have arrived in the city for the first time. So to change it radically is to lose an invaluable cultural resource, one of the key resources in terms of Seattle as a culture.
Oh my gosh, the Ave is Ambassador Charles Mudede.
Yes.
What a cast of characters.
I love the Ave. I know this because I went to Western Washington University, and although which is in Bellingham, actually it was Fairhaven College, but I was horrible. I spent most of my time on the Ave and not in Bellingham.
All right, before I let you go, you had one radical idea that you mentioned in your piece, and that was shutting the Ave down to cars.
Yes. As a writer for The Stranger, I am almost always like 80% angry letters. 80% people. I didn't receive almost a single negative letter concerning that idea. I was quite impressed that people thought that it actually is necessary because right now, what shutting down the street would do is invite other people to engage with bars and restaurants. And we could have been outside drinking this and eating for most of the summer, and most of these businesses would not be struggling as much as they are right now. So that's at least, if we get it wrong this time, I think the city should consider, because we will have 3 months of rain probably, but soon April come around and the rains will sort of start to clear up, hopefully, and then we'll have another summer for us to be outside. And at that time, it would be wonderful if the city has made these adjustments to improve the business climate. And we're talking about small businesses, and so we must consider ways to keep them in business, or keep them going.
All right, Charles Mudede, great talking with you. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Patricia. And again, I want to remind everybody, please wear a mask. It's so important.
Hi, I'm Patricia Murphy, host of Seattle Now. Thank you for watching. If you think this work is important and want to support us, subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment, and check out KUOW.org for local news.